So, we are back here to discuss, probably this is my kind of last session in this series. So, as I told you earlier, during the lockdown period, so I am also helping you with support in institute effort to make sure to give you highly exam focus webinar series. And as you know, salient features of this, you already noted that it carefully focuses on the knowledge critical examinable topics and how it is applied, and also it encourages you to read some of the key things in the study text, those chapters, everything you can see from my previous 5 videos, those specific chapters, and then essentially I have covered bigger part of pilot paper, and today also in this session also I will cover balance few questions, right, and I am sure another lecturer will continue to do few more sessions to complete and give you a holistic coverage in this paper, right. So, basically in this session, before I start, you can see where the sessions that we have covered during the day, right. Today is 2nd May, and you can see in my previous 2 sessions, so we discussed with materiality how it is applied in case studies. This was a big topic, group reporting, and even I spoke about some of the accounting standards, SLFRS 3, 10, 11, 12, right, and then associates various other stuff relating to group auditing. Another big topic that was discussed, more than 2-hour session, audit reporting, covering unmodified opinion 700 standard, modified opinion, the concept of pervasive 705 standard, CAM standard 701, emphasis of matter 706, other information that is 720. All of this we discuss extensively, and in addition to this we discuss going concern standards. So, today in this session my main aim, if you look at your syllabus topic, there is another section called assurance framework, assurance engagement. So, in addition to audit, auditor is actually, you know, if you look at a firm of chartered accountants, right, what they can do, I am sure you can see this slide, right. Now, I want you to put, okay, what just read the names, right. You see there is something called code of ethics, of course, that you must know. What is SLQC1? Any idea, right? SL, Sri Lanka, quality controls, right. In international this is called ISQC1, and then there is something called framework, which is like overarching, and all other things which comes under the framework, especially audit, review and other assurance engagement. And then you can see there is something outside the framework which is related services. Now, you have to have fair understanding about this whole thing, and so our topic today is to talk about assurance engagement, right, other than audit. So, I want to begin that discussion with probably this one, with this framework that you already saw. Now I want to think, one day let us say you become a practitioner, right, highly competent practitioner, right, and also remember, for you to be a practitioner now, after completing this exam, corporate level, and then you will do strategic level, and do not forget there is a separate paper for you that is called professional practice module. So, once you complete all of that, you become a member and you have experience from audit firm, and after some times in your career you want to join audit firm as a partner. I see there are a lot of young partners now in audit firms, right, and I can also see some of our students, right, how they are successfully running firms at their young age, right. So, one day if you wish to be practitioner, I am just asking you a question, what type of jobs, job is not the right word is professional service, what type of professional service that you would render? One would say, if you are a practitioner, the dangerous job to do is audit. Why it is dangerous? Because as you know, now this is one thing actually I forgot to mention in my previous session of audit reporting. If you look at the new audit reporting standard is terrible, right. Why? It requires in some other countries, right, internationally to put, now finally somebody has to sign the audit report saying that financial statements give true and fair. The signature is partner's signature, name and the signature, and I think in Sri Lanka now it is membership number. You can see who has signed this audit report in the firm. See, this is a big risk, because imagine there are millions of transactions, you are saying financial statements give true and fair view, and don't forget this is a reasonable assurance, right? This is a reasonable assurance. Now these words are very important. What is a reasonable assurance? Remember, it's a high level of assurance, right? But it is not absolute. When you say absolute assurance is like 100% guarantee, because auditor cannot give such a guarantee for the obvious reason that audit is on a sample basis. Auditor relies on internal controls which has their own limitations, right? And audit evidence very often are persuasive than conclusive. Like that, due to various reasons, auditor can only give reasonable assurance, right? But then this is an opinion with a reasonable assurance. The reason in an audit, right? Auditor is able to do a lot of work. Now I am also drawing this diagram, so I think this will be very important in our discussion today. Now when you see this, this side you see the risk. Now for example, at this stage if you come to this level, the risk is reduced. Right, let us say risk is reduced, so example let us say 10%. Now what is the risk? Now you can assume this is audit risk. Now while giving this opinion, accounts give true and fair view, there is say 10% risk, maybe 90% okay, right? Remember in materiality I discussed there can be undetected errors, right? 10%. Now for me to give that 90% assurance, reducing risk to 10%, I have to do lot of work. I am here. So what is this? I will name this as an audit. Now I am going to explain to you something very important. Note carefully. This covers, probably there is a separate chapter, and some of you will find this chapter is not, is a difficult one, but nothing is difficult if you properly understand. Right. Now I am also changing this word as assurance engagement risk. Assurance engagement risk. Now if you can assume if it is an audit risk, but when I say assurance engagement, now I am telling, now you are someone, right? You become a one day, right, FCA, right, with lot of experience, and you are a partner of a firm together with some other partners. So this is a dangerous job, I said. Why? Because you are given a high level of assurance where you reduce the risk to a lower level. Why? Because when you do audit, you gather a lot of evidence. So this axis is now sufficient appropriate evidence, because at this level you do, right, to give an audit opinion, you not only do company's control testing, but substantive procedures to detect, and it is a lot of rigorous audit testing at assertion level for each of the risks that you identify, right? And as you know, this is not only, this is only one part, this is FAP. If you remember my previous lectures, I use this verb very often, FAP and RAP, risk assessment procedures and further audit procedures, right? So after identifying risk, you go to high risk and audit you do. Now you know substantive procedure means you have to probably, you will do substantive analytical procedures. Now test of detail means what? You will send external confirmation, right? You will send external confirmation, and you have to attend physical count of the client, and you will vouch, examine documents, lot of work. That is why risk is reduced. But I am telling you, sometimes, now here I also write down, because I am using this, see, I am now explaining to you in the way things comes to my mind, so that I am covering a bigger part as a story. So you will see that as an interesting story where you are a partner running an audit firm and you don't like audit. Why? Because after signing this, you know, you in the night you worry, you know, what will happen if something happens, can somebody sue me, right? That's why you are worried. So, audit you worry, but now the next question when it comes to professional service, can someone provide some other services? Now, this is an audit, right? Audit is good and interesting, but dangerous in terms of risk, especially from the perspective of litigation. And if you look at the law, applicable is usually common law of tort. Somebody can sue the auditor, right, for being negligent. Being negligent means not being able to follow the standards of the profession. Standards are very important, right? So, that is audit. But sometimes, and I am saying here subject matter, I write this word, I like this word, I will tell you why this word matter in assurance and other engagement. Subject matter, right? When you do any service, professional service, you have to have subject matter. In this case, I write the word historical financial information. So, what is my subject matter? Historical financial information, HFI. If I audit historical financial statements, I can give reasonable assurance. But sometimes I am supposed to give assurance which is not reasonable, right? Let us say another job that comes to me, somebody comes and tell me, right, now for the previous audit I have taken, you are someone, right, I am assuming I am someone, let us say I have taken my team, they have taken a period of 2 months to do this audit. So, this is a manufacturing company and you know a lot of hard work during 2 months, right. Someone else is coming and telling me, right, I want you to do some work and say that my accounts are broadly okay. Tell me only if there is unusual in the accounts. Whether you go through my accounts and tell me if there is anything unusual, then let me know, right. That is what I want. So, go through and see if you come across anything unusual, tell me, right, but I do not want your firm to take 2 months. Do this in 3-4 weeks, if possible 2 weeks ideal. Now, be careful about code of ethics because you have to make sure you allocate sufficient time, that is part of professional competence and due care, right. So, but if somebody is asking like that, you know, I do not want to know everything, but if there is anything unusual, report me. That type of opinion, these are opinion, reasonable assurance. This type of opinion you can probably say that is moderate assurance. What is the difference? So, note this word carefully, moderate, reasonable, moderate. These are very good for now. This explanation will help you to really look at a lot of MCQ questions. Right, moderate assurance. So, what is the difference? First of all, when you say reasonable assurance high, it is always expressed positively. And to give you an example, financial statements give true and fair Habib is a positive statement. If somebody asks, how are you, right, I am good. How was the lecture? Like, that was good. How was the webinar? Somebody says not bad. Someone can't say it's brilliant. Not bad is not a negative, positive opinion, but not bad opinion is a negative opinion. So, moderate opinion, right. Sorry, I have to make a small correction here. We use the word not moderate. I made a small mistake there, right. We use the word limited assurance. And actually limited means, you can say earlier it is high, limited means what? Moderate, right. And when you say moderate, your opinion is worded negatively, right. So, for example, if I want to give, okay, I will now go to this diagram back again. Now, if somebody is asking, can you go through my accounts and report only if there is something unusual, then do this work in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Obviously, I am not going to do all of that, which will take 2 months. That is reason number 1. Reason number 2, he does not want a very high level assurance. The way he spoke to me, the CEO of this company, they want only to know this is quarterly accounts. We want to know whether there is anything, you know, if you have come across anything unusual, report. In that way, you as someone you know very well about technical standard, you know there is something here, right. So, you will take little more risk now. You are not reducing the risk, your risk is high, right. Here because your risk is low, you are giving reasonable assurance, but here risk is high, you are giving limited assurance. So, in this case we have come to maybe 30%, right. So, which means there is 30% risk, 70%, something like that, but do not too much worry about numbers here, but the idea is here I am doing less work. In terms of evidence, usually in this type of engagement, this type of best example for this type of engagement is the second job you are going to do is what? This job you are going to do is a review engagement, right. This job is an example of review engagement, right. What is that? It is very important, please make a note. Review engagement. So, what is a review engagement? In a review engagement, right, auditor may not provide a positive assurance, right. Instead, auditor will only say whether anything has come to auditor's attention. See, I start saying now, if you look at typically audit opinion is worded like this, you follow this, nothing, it starts saying nothing. Nothing has come to our attention. Nothing has come to our attention which causes us to believe that what? Now, say we are trying to say not bad in very long language. Nothing has come to our attention which causes us to believe that the financial statements do not give true and fair view. Now, here you say do not, there you say it gives true and fair, this type of opinion. Now, you have gone through the accounts and seen there is nothing unusual, right. That type of engagement is called review. In a review, remember, if somebody asks, so what is then done in a review engagement, the most powerful thing that is done, ask some brilliant question, right. By an inquiry and analytical procedures are the two big procedures. You are not going to study the internal control, send in confirmation, stock count, nothing, but you are analyzing accounts in detail and asking some smart question from the client. When I analyze your revenue by category, I see a significant increase in these categories. Why? Now, company is not giving specific reason, then you have a doubt, you go into further detail, and if required you will do other procedures, other review procedures, right. But certainly you are not going to do some of the detailed testing. If you do an audit by a detailed analytical review, remember in my previous session I spoke about group auditing, where if a component is not significant, the principal auditor will do what? Analytical review. Now, by analyzing accounts you will see whether there is unusual fluctuation. For example, you see in one company there is a significant increase in inventory. If you ask why there is an increase in inventory, they say okay, we change the policy. Now, you want to go through what is the policy change, and if you find policy change is unusual, you will qualify the review conclusion. In a review we use the word conclusion. So, that is also important. Now, I explained to you audit here. One job that you will do in the audit firm. Your jobs, right, services. Review engagement, you can quickly analyze accounts. Again, remember, there is no change in the subject matter. So, earlier I wrote subject matter in red color, HFI, right. This is HFI. Here also I use the word HFI, historical financial information, right. Now, if you want to Google today, there are even Sri Lankan companies quarterly, they do not do audit. Some companies, parent company requires. Now, for example, you can probably take Dialog, right. Some companies, parent companies requires review engagement to be done by the external audit and report, right. So, that is audit and review. And now, we will take a total different scenario, right. Now, another investor comes to someone and asking this question from someone, right. Okay, let us say this is specially not an investor, this case CFO is calling and asking, right. He bank, now see I am writing here bank wants, banks wants auditor's report, right, to ensure conditions in the agreements are met, to ensure, sorry, that is not the way to write, to ensure. Now see, this company has taken a significant loan, and one of the conditions in the bank is to say you have to prepare financial statements, right, to ensure financial statements prepared based on the agreement, not based on the bank is not interested about SLFRS, right, prepared based on loan agreement, right. Now in this case, I am asking you what is the subject matter, still it is HFI, but what is the big difference? There are two differences. One, it is the bank, not the general public. Today I mentioned to you, now if you prepare financial statement for a specific user, you may not use general purpose, but you will use special purpose. This becomes a special purpose, but nevertheless this is an audit, therefore we call it special purpose audit, right. And the other thing that I want to highlight, that audit is done based on loan agreement, the criteria has changed. So I highlight the word criteria also here, put a strict mark, this word is a key word for me. Another strict mark, subject matter is a key audit keyword for me, because later there is something called CREST. Now when CREST is fulfilled, there is something, right. Now out of CREST we have learned now subject matter, right, there has to be subject matter, right. And obviously you have seen I am always connecting this to evidence, so there should be evidence, right. Then what is this, maybe criteria, yes, what is CREST? I will come back to that, this is examinable, remember it is very important to note this part, right. So now what I explained to you, this is a special purpose audit, and special purpose audit, remember, are governed by still Sri Lanka auditing standard, and that is auditing standard number 800. You see now this is not even 700 series, this is Sri Lanka auditing standard 800, still auditing standard. I use the blue color to show what standard. If it is audit, audit is based on Sri Lanka auditing standard, but if it is a review, remember it is based on Sri Lanka standard on review engagement. That is a new standard you have not learned earlier, right. Review, and there are two type of review, interim review, so that is fine for your level. So understand there is a review engagement where auditor will provide a limited assurance to state that whether anything has come to auditor's attention which causes auditor to believe that the financial statements do not give true and fair view. So that is the second, 1, 2, we have discussed 2, right. And the third scenario, which is here, I said it is special purpose. Now see, these are the various jobs, professional service you will get in the audit firm, and all this may be high risk. Why? Everything has opinion, right. Now let us take a different scenario. Now a young person comes to you, entrepreneur, and asking, right, no, let us change the example, right. Say a fairly established company comes. This company's name is B, and they want to acquire company T. Now you can guess, B means bidder, company who is going to acquire, T means target. So imagine a big telco company, right, you can assume any big name in Sri Lanka. They want to acquire a small telco company, but before acquiring they actually want to know financial health of this company. You know, when you say, okay, what do you mean, because they will not come and tell you do the audit based on this standard. They will tell you, before we invest, we need to do a financial health check, covering financial statements, right, even financial prospects. See, this word prospects is something to do with future, and also financial risk, something like that. Then you will ask, what do you mean? Okay, in financial we want to check whether some assets which are there in the balance sheet, are they actually there, whether assets are impaired. So like that. So how the future revenue looks like, the market, their customer base, customer profitability, like that. Oh, this is a big job. So, audit firm will say, now very good, because someone is suggesting his managing partner, shall we start a consultancy in our audit firm. So, if you give a name to this kind of engagement, the famous name is DD assignment. What is DD? It is called due diligence, and usually this can come under consultancy work. Let us say this is consultancy work. Now, if you ask me, in giving this report, can there be opinion? May not be, right, but audit firm may decide to give this due diligence. Okay, they are asking so many things, right, but we have never done such engagement. Best thing is to do, let us agree with them, agree some work. For example, agree on the easiest thing, we can check whether debtors are recoverable, assets are in existence. Let us agree and do only agreed work. Now, this is famous, only agreed work, no opinion. So, that is very important, no opinion, and someone is more than happy to give this. Why? This is the low risk assignment, where there is no risk. We agreed to check something, both of us, company, right. We agreed, and I have done only agreed work and report on factual finding, right. This is very famous among auditors, and they call this, say in this case we are structuring due diligence as a AUP assignment, structuring, right, because you may do this as a consultancy as well. Now, I am asking you to guess, please write here, what is AUP? Agreed upon procedures. You agree with the other parties the work to be done and perform only those work and report on factual finding. Please also write within bracket, it is called report on factual finding, right. Okay, he is more than happy to give, but only thing here I am stressing in this, no opinion, right, no opinion, okay, right. So, I have covered 4 examples, then I will come to the 5th example like this, right, 5th example. Now, there is a company, manufacturing company in Sri Lanka, they love environment, they are not only thinking their products, they have produced a report called sustainability report. Now, I do not know whether you have heard sustainability report, some of you would have read sustainability reports. Essentially, there are different reporting framework even under corporate governance. Integrated reporting is one framework, IR framework, or GRI is another framework, Global Reporting Initiative. Whatever it is, usually this is also called triple bottom line. If you are a responsible company, you are not only thinking about one bottom line, which is profit, which is economic, you are also thinking about what? Environment, whether company, how companies, with the current crisis time, the one of the biggest benefit, you would have seen a lot of pictures, how calm the environment in Colombo and different part of the world, and how calm the animals in zoos, right. Environment is going to be benefited. So, economic, environment and society, what company has done for the society, right. For example, you see a company which manufactures alcoholic products, cigarettes is a best example, tobacco. It is like, pain and killing yourself when somebody smokes, right, because end of the day that is the eventuality, right. So, company will be very responsible that how they will reduce. So, economically they are profitable, they are giving salaries to all of that, paying taxes, all that. Environment, they are saying that we are a carbon neutral company. Now, what do you mean by carbon neutral company? If you Google carbon neutral, you will know net zero. This company's carbon emission is 0. How comes? If it is a company, there is a carbon, right. But what they say is, they have neutralized the carbon emission with some other measures of using renewable energy, and they will set off. For example, so while there is emission, they will also say this is how we are going to contribute the positive ways. For example, some companies even one example would be solar power generations, right. There is a lot of they save energy, and these are reported as carbon footprint in annual report as KPI. Society means the donations they have given. Now see, eventually these are also some of the KPIs. Their sustainability report is really attracted, and I will give you one big example. If you search today, Volkswagen, one of the largest company in the world, right, they have been scrutinized for using some defeat device in the vehicles which affect the carbon emissions, and this has been challenged, right, and there are reports, various reports on that. Now this is how in the sustainability relevant. My simple question to you, I explain all this to you, why? Because this company's chairman wants, because this is in the annual report, please give an opinion, and now it is challenging. Why? Up to now we dealt with HFI. What is HFI? Historical financial information. Now in this assignment you have financial information, economic KPIs, then you also have non-financial KPIs, right. In a subject like this, there is this is like again auditor's product box or a tool box or a reporting toolkit, let us say, right. In the reporting toolkit, auditor will suggest, okay, no problem, we are able to give an opinion on sustainability because CREST can be met. As long as CREST can be met, we can give you opinion using Sri Lanka standards on assurance engagement. The main mother standard is 3000 standard. Now if it is an assurance engagement, now I told you what CREST means. These things should be met. So one is criteria, and you have to give a report, right, and there has to be evidence, subject matter, and finally what is T? There has to be 3 parties in this assignment. For example, sustainability practitioner, we do not use the word auditor. Practitioner is one party, the other party is the auditor, third party is the intended users of the report. There should be 3 parties in an assurance engagement. Now what you learn now, assurance engagement should have what? These 5 criteria. Then it is structured as an assurance engagement, and when something is under assurance engagement, you are probably able to apply one of these standards like 3000, and so review engagement again comes under assurance framework. So all this comes under assurance framework, but remember, with the exception of agreed upon, it is out of the scope. Out of the scope, it is not assurance engagement, no opinions provided. So another thing I want to tell you now, say another 6 request comes to someone is, can you, now this is a young entrepreneur comes, you know, I want to expand my business, I want to take a bank loan, for that purpose I have done a forecast, but bank is asking to get auditor's opinion on the forecast. That's a very tough decision. Now this time I change the subject matter name as not HFI but PFI. Can anyone guess what PFI means? Prospective financial information, right? There, can we give an assurance? As long as you can prove these criteria, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can, right? So PFI is actually covered in Audit Sri Lanka standard on assurance engagement, Sri Lanka standard on assurance engagement 3400, right? Okay, let me to add, I don't know, I stopped numbering on it. This is number 6. Number 7. Now this company, audit firm has become big now. They are auditing banks. So one of the bankers, CFO, comes and tells central bank requires us to give an opinion on internal controls. Now can we give opinion on internal control? Subject matter is internal control. We can test the controls. The criteria is like COSO framework, you know, internal control, there are criteria, we can evaluate, design effectiveness, implementation of, we can give a report, there are 3 parties, we can. So there is nothing impossible. But remember, there is one thing that I must emphasize to CREST. I rewrite CREST here. You can't just write CREST without another word in front of it. Then only you can provide an assurance service, right? So, whenever you write exam answer, do not forget to write this. When you say criteria, okay, let us start with subject matter. Can any subject matter be audited? No, right? Only appropriate subject matter can be audited. So, I want you to write the full word, right? Okay, I will write it. Appropriate subject matter can be audited. What is appropriate subject matter? For example, if somebody asks, please give an opinion on management honesty, whether this person is honest. How can we give opinion? First of all, appropriate means, can we identify boundaries of the subject matter and measure? Answer is no, then subject matter is not appropriate. Then the next question is evidence. Do not use the evidence without these two, sufficient appropriate evidence, right? And criteria, every criteria is not acceptable. You have to use only suitable criteria. Suitable means criteria is available to anybody. If you now Google GRI criteria, you will get it. If you now Google integrated framework, you will get it available to anybody, and those criteria are complete, neutral, all of that. So, those are the key words. Other words are okay, especially these three words you have to appropriate, sufficient, appropriate, suitable. Now, up to now what I explained to you, will that be helpful in the exam? Yes. If you are given a scenario whether assurance can be provided, your answer is revolving around CREST and explain, especially with these words, whether these can be demonstrated, then assurance service can be provided. I think with that, it's always good to look at a question, right? And then I will also want your attention to the board, the presentation slide. Now, some of the things that I explain except quality is in this presentation. Now, see whether I have covered all of this through summons, practice in firm, right? Ethics also I emphasize, but we haven't done extensive discussion on this, but framework is the above one, overarching. Audit done based on auditing standard, review done based on Sri Lanka review standards, other assurance engagements such as what? What are the example I took? Sustainability engagement. Another example I took, internal controls, that is this standard. Then this is what is the example for related service. I want you to write two examples here. One is agreed upon procedures. Next example, please write this word compilation. Compilation. Usually compilation means preparation of financial statement in this context. If there is assignment for audit firm to prepare accounts, it is not assurance engagement, but a compilation engagement, right. So, in an exam question, if somebody asks whether assurance can be provided, you can use the CREST, and also do not forget about these elements. I will also cover this slide to you. This is very important slide, a summary of the assurance framework, a very summarized slide. Now, there is assurance framework in Sri Lanka. It explained to you, right. Describe elements and objective of assurance engagement. Elements means CREST, there are two objectives, and I will be happy if you can tell me what are the two objectives of assurance engagement. Remember, that is where we learn reasonable assurance and limited assurance. The objective varies based on which assurance engagement we provide. In a reasonable assurance engagement, now if you look at my graph, I am explaining the definition only by looking at this graph. In a reasonable assurance engagement, assurance engagement risk is reduced to such a lower level to enable practitioners to provide a reasonable assurance by way of a positive opinion. Whereas in a limited assurance engagement, although risk is reduced, it is not reduced to the same level such as a reasonable assurance. Therefore, auditor gives limited assurance by way of a negative, practitioner gives a negative opinion, which is a moderate assurance, right. So, then definition, come back to this. So, those we looked at, definition and objective. See, limited assurance, reasonable, that is very important to learn these two. And when I say scope, remember some example out of the scope, agreed upon is out of the scope, and then compilation, those are two big example, and probably consulting assignment which is not agreed upon, any other type of consultants, it may be out of this. And if you are doing assurance engagement, this is where CREST comes, elements, and also these words that I explained to you, right. See, criteria suitable, right, available, subject matter is appropriate, right, sufficient appropriate evidence, conclusion and engagement should have a rational purpose as well, right. These are called preconditions and you have to identify roles and responsibility. But in the exam, you know, in some question, if you know CREST, it will helpful for you to answer. I think with that, let us get into a question now. In the pilot paper, right, there is a question that deals with this section. I think we will also take a look at some of the MCQ if time permits, but let us first answer the case study that we discussed. The case study which relates to what we are discussing now, right. Now, you are the technical manager of audit firm. Several audit seniors have approached you to clarify the type of other engagement requested to be undertaken. See, other engagement. So, you are the technical guy. So, one of the company, co-friendly manufacturing entity with regional presence has produced first sustainability report. Now, you see we discussed this sustainability reporting with what are the three criteria, triple bottom line, economic, environmental and social KPIs. And in this case, I gave you two framework, right, integrated reporting and GRI. There are other framework as well, right, but they use GRI G4, which is one of the latest one in GRI framework. So, now the question is, can you provide assurance 4 marks question. So, answer to this question, if you know CREST, see the way that you can write your answer, right. If we can demonstrate these criteria, you can write the answer, no. So, for example, we can say that there is a suitable subject matter, which now suitable means subject matter is identifiable, it has 3 areas, right. So, what are those 3? These 3. So, I do not write that again, economic, social. So, there is a subject matter. Then is the criteria available? Yes. So, GRI, G4 criteria can be used. The next thing is, can we gather audit evidence? Yes. But one thing to be noted, right, imagine if you are the auditor of this company, you may be much comfortable to audit economic KPI, because economic KPI is very often links to financials, whereas when it comes to non-financial KPIs, right, take for example, I am not writing answer as a paragraph, but giving you bullet points what you would write, say carbon dioxide emissions, right. Now, it will be very difficult for the auditor to compare to normal auditing. How can I audit carbon dioxide emission, how it is captured, measured and whether records are available. Given the whole context of evidence gathering ability, auditor may decide here there is a high risk for me to give reasonable assurance, right. For non-financial KPIs, I am going to give limited assurance, right, which is negative. But for financial KPIs, maybe even some of the social, you will give what? There you will give a reasonable assurance. This is a very important point, right, that you can write probably in your answer out of the CREST. Then the other one is that 3 parties you can easily write, no, in this case who are the 3 parties, the company, practitioner and who are the users of the reports, right. Then we discussed then that the report can be provided, written report can be provided. So, therefore, we can easily say that this meets the criteria. I think we discussed all, right, criteria, report, evidence, subject matter, right, and 3 parties. So, that is all, that is the answer, right. Similarly, if you look at the second question for 3 marks, CF of bank has approached the audit partner and request to provide some form of assurance on director statement on internal control. Can we provide the assurance engagement? So, I can use the same quest here, right. What is the subject matter? So, I will copy paste this, that is the, if you are doing in computer, it is very easy, in the, if the exam also like this. Then the suitable subject matter, yeah, what is the subject matter in this? Not no 3 areas, but internal control, but you have to be very clear. Very often auditor may be comfortable to audit not operational control, but we usually call this internal controls over financial reporting like bank reconciliation, journal entries. Now, how auditor can audit not using G4 criteria? The one of the famous model to check control, I am sure this is referred to in your study text as well, COSO internal control framework, which was finally revised in 2013, right. If I am not mistaken, it has 17 principles, right, where you will evaluate what? Evaluate what? Whether, remember we learned this, controls are designed, implemented and operating effectively, right. Then the evidence, yes, now in this case if you look at in Sri Lanka, yes, this is required for banks, internal control reporting. So, now it is a question for the auditor's confidence level. If auditor can gather more evidence, if you look at some other countries, this kind of report, they give a written report with reasonable assurance, because lot of evidence, more evidence has been gathered, but in Sri Lankan context, the current reporting is what? Is not reasonable assurance, but limited assurance, right. Report with limited assurance is provided. Why? Probably for some reason the evidence gathering, right. In this case in Sri Lanka, auditors will evaluate the management process, will understand how management has established control and ensure that they are effective. So, therefore, based on the evidence, now here what you can simply write, evidence can be gathered about, so actually this should come below, design effectiveness, this is where you will gather audit evidence, right, and including the management process. So, I think something happened now. Evidence is about control is designed, implemented and operating effectively, can be gathered through various evidence like inquiry, re-performance of controls, going through minutes, etc. Therefore, you can give assurance, right, in your answer. You can simply write, okay, if you are writing this answer, what should you write? So, in this case, right, there is a subject matter which is internal control, which can be evaluated using suitable criteria such as COSO. Depending on the level of evidence auditor will gather, auditor will decide to provide a reasonable ruling. That is the answer that you can write. So, the next question, this one, Star Manufacturing Company exporting apparel, footwear and accessory based on the requirement of foreign customer. Now, in this case use is a foreign customer, company requires auditors report on the accuracy of export costing. So, I highlight one thing to check is export costing and verification of country of origin. For example, export costing is a financial data, and I also should check whether country of origin, for example, is it made out of Sri Lanka. Sometimes they restrict some items being imported from certain countries, if they have involved in human rights issues, etc. So, therefore, in this case you have to verify country of origin. Management has established a checklist. Now, management knows how to check the accuracy of costing, right, as well as, accuracy of costing as well as, yes, establish a checklist to be compiled with in producing accurate costing and supporting documents to verify everything is with the management, right. So, one of the thing that you can ask, now one thing I want you to note here. Now, if you look at other ones and this question, is there any difference, right. Now, in the other question they have written the word assurance report here, some form of assurance. So, therefore, we know it is assurance, right. Even question number 2 also assurance. Question number 3, what is the report? Auditor to report on the accuracy, right, with auditor's observation, that is all given. Now, we know what to be checked and that can be agreed and only findings can be reported, and that we learn as what? Agreed upon procedure. So, therefore, in this case, because the question does not specify that an opinion is required, point number 1, right, no requirement. Now, when you write your answer, these are the points that you will underline. right, no requirement to provide an opinion, right, and then the other thing is procedures to be performed can be agreed and are cleared in the situation, right. I mean, it is already clear. So, therefore, what you can provide a report on factual findings, right, without an opinion, and that can be performed through agreed upon AUP. And remember, most important point in the answer is AUP is not governed by assurance framework, therefore, this is not an assurance engagement, and that is the answer, right. That is the answer, right. So, now if you look at through these examples, I have given you fair understanding about various types of engagement, and then to say that if you know this, you can easily answer a question, right. So, let me to take you through before I finish this whole discussion, right, this webinar series, part of the webinar series which I am going to which I have been discussing with you. I want to before I finish this whole thing, I want to tell you, I will quickly cover one more thing, and probably if possible, I said we can go through those MCQs as well. So, in terms of time, we are done with 1 hour, right? Yes. So as you know, these sessions continue in the same day, and therefore, we will try to cover, I will try to cover this part as well, and at the end I am sure it has given a significant coverage in terms of syllabus, right. So, I want to show you this. Now, we talked about summons practice in firm, right. One thing I want to tell you, this is this picture, see, think this as a picture, right. Do not forget what is in the left side. There is a nice picture, no, you see there is something called quality, and then if we talk about quality, in any case, we are looking 3 things, right. There is the input quality, the process quality, and the output quality. Now, quality of what? So, let me to quickly tell you something, right. When we talk about product quality, for example, Toyota is known for years for producing high quality cars. If you see books, several books written about TPS, Toyota Production System. There are various Japanese manufacturing, various capability about lean manufacturing, all of that, and how they ensure that the product is up to the right quality. So, therefore, not therefore, what I want to say is same way, in the same way, if you look at a practitioner, right. Now, for Toyota, what is quality? The product, right, conforms to the requirements, and finally customer is also happy. In the same way, if you look at a practicing firm, what does quality means for them, right? There are 2 big questions to ask in terms of quality for the practitioner, and that is essentially governed by SLQC1, which is a very important standard you will learn under advanced, especially your practicing paper if you are doing in this in much detail, right. So, quality means 2 things. Any work that practitioner is going to do, in my previous example with someone, it can be audit, special purpose, agreed upon, compilation, any work, whether that work is done according to the applicable what standard? Professional standards and laws and regulation. This is one objective, and finally the report given is the right report. Now, for example, if it is audit report, if there is a material uncertainty, you have to add the going concern paragraph. If these 2 can be demonstrated, quality is there. For audit firm to achieve that there is such level of quality, the main things that matters is the input quality, the process quality, and then the output quality, and as you know, output relates to reporting and input relates to the people who are doing the audit, you know, the quality of their professional experience, judgment, and in the process of auditing, you know, various auditing tools, say analytical software, audit documentation, all of that will help, especially using computer, artificial intelligence in today's context. This will help in this quality. Now see this diagram, please write a note, make a note in your book. This is called this diagram, these are the elements of audit quality, right. It is very important, you know, because this is a really new thing and I am sure a lot of people do not know this, right. So, this is called quality, right, quality framework. There is a framework for quality also. It has input, output, process, and then it interacts. If you are doing audit, you have to interact with the, say, monitoring board in Sri Lanka. They check whether auditors are doing the audit properly, and then you have to interact with the board, management. So, all these people interact, and finally, you are operating in an environment with contextual factors. See, today's Sri Lanka economic environment, right, and you are operating in Sri Lanka, right, and Sri Lankan regulation, Roads and Companies Act, right, and all of that, the IT system, corporate governance. So, this all this relates to audit quality. So, if what I explained to you through this is what are the elements of quality, not system, right, what are the main elements of the quality framework. Please remember quality framework. The next main thing that this is a topic I should take lot of time and explain to you, right, but with the limited time I am also able to explain something to you quickly. Same explanation can be given in 1 hour as well as 5 minutes, but you have to, this is a very important thing, at least understand conceptually very well. As you know, if audit firms say they want to be number 1 in quality, right, you know 2 requirements, right, the standards to be met and the right report to be given. It is not easy, you need to have this entire thing getting properly together. Number 1, where the quality can go wrong, you see sometimes in case of corporate collapses, right. You know, in some cases of corporate collapses, the main reason for quality is here. I will put L. I want you to guess what L means. Now imagine there is one partner who is getting a big fee out of one client and he has been auditing this client for last 10 years and this company has lot of unusual things. Now ideally CAM should be given, but partner doesn't want to make, you know, managing direct unhappy. Partner wants to somehow retain that client. This is one sign of the audit firm. Now what is L? L is leadership of the audit firm, right. So, whether leadership of the firm is creating, I write this word culture, right, of quality, right, where if I explain this further, business strategy of the firm is subject to overriding requirements to maintain the quality. Did you understand that? Business strategy. Finally, it is a business, right, they will make money as a firm. The way you make money, right, just because if you want to make more money, you cannot compromise on quality. How to compromise on quality? By you know, recruiting, not paying. You know, for the very experienced people, they don't pay. They don't send audit team for training purpose, right. They are not updated with IFRS. Firm's methodology is very poor. There is no technical expert in the audit firm. There are no IT system. They haven't spent money. More than that, the leadership of the firm, they don't qualify the audit report to have the connection. So, therefore, leadership is weak. When the leadership is right, especially in terms of culture, quality culture, say for when you say quality culture, you know, partners are always making sure that quality is number 1 in their whole decision. The second thing is they have to make sure ethical requirements are followed. So, what I am writing here is a big topic. I would say this is like number 1 standard. This is the standard above all. This is called SLQC1. Please write the heading. This is called elements of system of quality control. What are the elements of system of quality control? Leadership, ethics, and now finally let us say this is an audit. What matters is, in many cases, why auditors are unable to, because finally you audit in a company with lot of inherent risks, right. Final thing that matters is the marriage and divorce, to put it in that way. What do you mean by marriage and divorce when it comes to a firm? If firm is auditing a high risk company, for example, Arthur Andersen being such a big audit firm in the world, where are they now? With Enron, they also disappeared because they decided to marry, right, Enron and audit and continue to audit, and they did not reject or withdraw from Enron at the right time. See, unhealthy marriage is a problem like that. If audit firm accept just because they give a good audit fee, any client that comes, a client that has tax issues, all of that, audit firm should decline bad clients, right. That is called acceptance of engagement, accepting only healthy clients, and then what is the other decision? Acceptance and continuation, right. So, which means you have to discontinue bad clients, right. So, now you got the leadership right, ethics, they comply with all the ethics, especially what matters in auditing is independence, right. And then the next elements is leadership, ethics, acceptance, right. Now, what now matters is the process of auditing, right, that is actually engagement, performance. Now, what do you mean by engagement performance? Finally, you see sometimes audits are done by junior people, no problem, as long as supervision is done by supervisors, right. First of all, the engagement performance has to be based on the standards, right, the standards, auditing standard. If it is auditing, or the work has to be supervised, then the supervisor's work, the partner will review, manager will review. And then if there are technical areas like, very difficult deferred tax, derivatives, financial instrument, there is a technical partner to consult and clarify doubt, it is called consultation, right, supervision, review, consultation. And if it is a listed company, there is a engagement quality control review. Please write this is a very important topic, engagement quality control review. So, there is a second partner, right, to go through high risk areas, significant areas, right. This partner will not go through all the working papers, but significant areas, right. In auditing what significant areas means, right, significant judgment especially. Now, for example, areas that has scam, potential modifications, right. Then the fair value estimates, all of these working papers, this partner will go through and clear whether it is proper. This is engagement performance. Finally, now throughout the audit firm, if you want to have this properly, you have to have a good HR system where you recruit the best people and assign the right people to right audit team. Also important, you have the best people, but they are not assigned properly. And finally, in the audit firm there should be somebody, right, like commercial organization has internal auditors, in the audit firm there is another independent team, they will come and check whether these requirements have been met, the leadership level, certain requirements when they accept the client, ethical requirements are the independent, where the audit team has taken valuable gift, which are significant gift, right. And then when it comes to engagement performance, all the working papers have been reviewed by the partner, difficult matters have been consulted. This monitoring person will see gaps in the quality and then report gaps to the senior partner, and partner will take action to ensure that the quality system continues. So, this is a very quick introduction. As I told you, I can do this as a very lengthy topic, but I want to make sure that you understand these 5 elements of audit quality, and please read some of these in your study pack in detail, but at least this level of overall knowledge will be very useful for you when you handle MCQ question. Because I am not taking this as a detailed topic now, I do not go to details of each areas one by one. So, as the last thing, I want to show you some of the MCQ, right. I can actually take you through all the MCQs now, but because I will have to explain some in detail, I will see at least the ones which we have already covered to take you through. And it is also important in MCQ. Sometimes I have given you, I think when I did one session with the business level students, one of the strategies in MCQ, what matters, that entire paper is MCQ, right, time. So, again sometimes you will spend a lot of time, but you know, it will affect your ability to answer balanced question. In the exam, if you ask from any student, right, especially any students who were not successful in this paper, auditing paper in the past, one of the thing they will tell, you know, time management was the issue, right. So, if I go through some of these things, you will be surprised that, you know, the things that we discuss, how helpful in answering this question. So, one of the strategy in MCQ, there are some question answer is pretty obvious, you do not need to read even other answers, but there are some questions very tough. There you go by elimination approach. What is elimination approach? You one by one take unnecessary answer and see whether it is matching. And remember, another general advice in MCQ is to read the question, because some answers only one, some there are multiples. Now, this question is from materiality. So, I am sure today we did this and you should be able to easily identify, right, Netum PLC, export software company, and they are going to use material level for particular transaction. Now, I explained to you at the overall audit strategy level, auditor can have overall material level as well as particular for certain areas. So, what is the answer? Discontinued operation, yeah, I mean that is item that we can put there. So, it is likely to be correct. Level of materiality calculated for financials as a whole, this is wrong answer, this is not the case. R&D, this is a software company, maybe a special item auditor may want to audit, right. If you go by the correct answer approach, you can quickly see these two are different answers, likely to be correct, and these two are definitely wrong. Performance materiality is not the same as this one. So, correct answer is what then? 2 and 3, right, 1 and 3. So, where is 1 and 3? Yeah, C. So, the next question is about, this is something I just discussed, right, quality review partner. I told you, if you look at SLQC 1, engagement quality review partner is a partner who will independently go through, I said all working paper, important one with significant risk, right, yes. So, not everything, but you know, especially subjective judgments made by audit teams, independence, right, audit opinion, things like that, this partner will go through. In that context, what is the correct answer? Review of all working papers. Do you think all working papers? Definitely this is out, no, in the elimination approach, this is out. Then review of selected, yeah, this is definitely correct. So, 2 is a correct answer, right. Then review of engagement teams, evaluation of independence, yes, I just said independence is also important, right. Consultation has taken place, yes, that is also correct. Then what is the correct answer, right, 1, 2, 4, yeah, 1, 2, 4 we can't take because 1 is wrong, but we can say 2, 3, 4, right, because partner may also want to check the fourth one, right. So, that is, then if you look at the next question, now this is interesting audit reporting, we had a lot of discussion today. Now, due to disruption caused by recent transition to a new accounting system, right, record loss. Now, this we called beyond management control, there is a limitation, right. Auditor is doing the audit and determine that possible effect, see the word possible effect, then we know already the answer, right. Possible effect is material not pervasive, answer is you do not need to read anything else, answer is this, that is, you see the time it takes few seconds. If you have the knowledge, some question you can save the time. The next question, actually this is a topic I have not discussed with you, but okay, for the completeness I will quickly run through. Internal audit, there is internal audit, external audit has concluded the internal audit function does not apply systematic and discipline approach. Remember, if external auditor wants to rely on external auditor, there are 3 things to check, right. One is objective, internal auditor should be objective, and the second important thing is they have to follow systematic and discipline approach, the other one is competence. If this is not followed, you should not rely on, right. Yeah, I think answer should be A, but you can read the balance as well. Now, here can use the work provided individuals, no, that is you can't rely on individual level, right. and then external auditor can use. Now, this is another criteria, the objectivity. I told you is not only objectivity, right, that is relating to independence, also this is both should be met, but in this case if one is not there you can't rely. The last one, low risk areas, external auditor can use the work, no, you can't look at all. Remember those three criteria that I mentioned to you, right, the objectivity, right, then whether they follow systematic discipline approach means they also follow standards, which we call IPPF, International Professional Practice Framework, and you have a separate chapter on internal audit with a coverage. Please go through that chapter to understand practically the internal audit today is very different to what some of you think, right. So, then the next question is which is not element of quality control. Now, see, we learn this, remember my diagram, elements of quality control system. We have seen leadership, we have seen ethics, we have seen acceptance, engagement, but we have not seen methodology. They are specifically, because methodology can be covered elsewhere, but this is not separately named, therefore, D is the wrong answer, right. So, then which is not the process. Now, see, you will never answer this type of question if you have not gone through the book, right. I explained to you element of framework, this is a fairly new thing, right. Element of framework, quality framework, there is a input, process, output, contextual factors, but this one was not there, right, judgmental factors. Then the next question is, okay, this is a fairly long, now this is where you have to see the time in the exam, right, because even to read this question it takes a lot of time. If you answer other question quickly, here you can save time. Now, as external audit you are doing analytics and you have found there is a 40% increase in revenue compared to last year, you intend to perform further work because this 40% is unusual, and you are seen actually, if you look at, put this to assertion, sales is overstated, probably due to what? Maybe at the period end they have reported more sales. So, what is the assertion? Cutoff, period then sales may be wrong. That is the kind of risk assessment you will make from the scenario. If that is the case, what should I check? Right, if I have a question about cutoff, good to select a sample of invoices towards the year end and verify with the invoice details, right, and especially shipping documents to ensure the shipment has gone, something like that. For example, now let us see the correct answer, sample of invoices around the period end, this is cutoff, right, you check the dates and compare with the dispatch date, definitely this is correct, cutoff, this is a correct answer. Second one, trace a sample of shipping documents, right, and shipping documents, sales invoices and into the sales and receipt. Now, why should I take a shipping documents and trace it back? Because see, your doubt is whether sales which should not be accounted has been accounted, right, which is either occurrence, assertion or completeness. So, second one will not directly help me to check that first one. Third one, for a sample of sales recorded in the ledger, I will check whether what? That sale has a shipping document, that sale has actually happened. So, this is like occurrence, this is like cutoff. So, therefore, both 1, 3 matches. Then last one, classification. In this case, I do not worry about classification, right. My worry is occurrence assertion. This audit evidence talks about occurrence, this audit evidence talks about cutoff. So, what are the, sorry for that. 1 talks about the cutoff, 3 talks about the like occurrence. So, therefore, those 3, 1 and 3 are the correct answers. So, then if you go to next one, CAM. So, today we had a discussion about CAM. Remember definition of CAM, most significant matters in the current period. So, this is the definition of CAM, definitely this answer is correct therefore, right. Then second one, areas of higher risk can be CAM. So, definitely here. So, 1 and 2 are correct. Then the third one is audit qualification and material uncertainty relating to going concern should be reported, that is wrong, because qualification has to be reported as a modification according to 705. If it is material uncertainty, it has to be reported as a going concern para according to 570 standard. All this we discussed, that is why I am going fast. We discussed in the same sessions. I am sure you are looking these videos in a chronological, like logical order from one to the other, right. Then when auditor is not satisfied about the adequacy of disclosure, can it be a CAM? No, disclosure is not there. I mean, remember, audit is auditing 3 things: account balances, transaction, disclosure. If disclosure is not adequate, the opinion is what? It cannot be a CAM. So, the opinion should be a qualified opinion, right. So, it should not be recorded as a cam. Sorry, this is also part of the same question now, but now you know what is the answer 1 and 2 are the correct answers, right. Then the next question is about PFI. I haven't discussed in much detail PFI, but PFI I mentioned to you, this is about auditing forecast kind of a thing. Then we have to see which is not the correct answer. Report, now I will go this type of a question, especially elimination approach. What are the wrong answers, right? PFI, report carries a statement as to whether PFI is properly prepared based on the assumption. Yeah, seems to be correct. Let us say, yeah, this is correct. Because what is not correct we have to find out. So, this is let us say correct because it seems to be the report carries a statement with appropriate caveats. Caveats means like warning, while this is a forecast, company will not achieve forecast, that is also there. I haven't done this session today for you, a PFI session, therefore I recommend you to go through, but I am still explaining to you logically even this type of a question. If you know theory, you can easily bet. Because the moment you see positive assurance, which is a high level, remember in a PFI auditor will not give a positive assurance, it is usually negative, therefore C is wrong, right. So, report carries a statement of management responsibility, that is anyway there, so C is wrong, right. So, that is the answer. And then phishing mail, this is about IT, especially cyber terrorism, and today even I got a mail last week, please I got recently, in the past one mail saying that, funds have been transferred, please check your account balance. If you get a mail like that, you are, this is money, everybody is interested in money. Oh, my account funds have come, you will just click, but the moment you click that link, that whoever, the intruders, the hackers, they can hack your system, access to your one, and your information will pass. So, phishing, another mail I got is that recently, our HR department, they want to change, they have changed something, check. Now, those are very clearly phishing mail, right. So, somebody is trying to cheat to get, access to company's data or for you to enter personal data. Now, the way to avoid this, it is not some problem in your computer, but it is where cyber terrorism, right, attack users and get some sensitive data out of them. So, mainly we have to make awareness. If you get such an email, don't click, don't enter any details, right. Then if you have a spam filter, yes, some of these unknown mails will go to, spam filter is where only your regular mails will come, others will be sorted out. Again, this is application of artificial intelligence, computer will automatically filter using machine learning algorithm and then classify it into a kind of another area. Then if I update my software, will it helpful for me to receive this phishing mail? This looks very odd. No, just because I update software, still I will get email and I will still click whether it is updated or not, right. I should report this to IT department. So, the wrong answer seems to be C. With that, I am covering these long sessions, and after long time, I have been able to contribute on this type of a session. Especially, I see this as a privilege for institute giving this opportunity even to support student at this moment. And during the pandemic time, especially even today, Colombo is locked down, and during last 3 weeks with all these conditions, especially I should thank Suraj for spending a lot of time on behalf of the students to edit this video and making sure all this is available at the same time. And I am telling you with confidence that these videos are absolutely exam focused. But don't forget, you can't only watch the video and sleep. You have to watch, make your own notes, go to study pack, read it and do question by yourself, then the story is completed. So, I want to remind you with this, my last slide for you, right. Study strategy. In terms of study strategy, what matters is when the time you study, it may be 1 hour, 2 hours. Nowadays, some of you don't work, you have lot of time, don't misuse time. The most valuable thing in life is time. Right, every minute in the life is important because our life is short. When you study, make sure your mind is purified. You don't have lot of other worries, going around your mind. Your mind cannot be clouded with lot of other things, financial issues, this issue, that issue. Forget all of that. Now I am only doing studying. studies. That's my concern. That's my main intention, right? You have to think like that. Then less more strategy is very, very important. Now, if you look at now, even when I talk to you today, right now time is 3:30. We haven't had our lunch yet, right? Even when as we speak, you even this last session, you know, I wanted to explain to you something very big, but very limited time. No, in a limited time, how can I get the maximum use? When you sit down to learn something, make sure that you are now, sometimes you see a chapter which is about 100 pages, line by line you read, underline, look at the dictionary. You have taken about 3 weeks to read this chapter, and you vaguely remember, you are trying to memorize it. Then when it comes to past paper, you do not have confidence to write. That entire 1 week is useless. Therefore, it is very important that you identify what are the examinable topics, right, and spend less time to get more benefit. Here more means you marks that you will score in the exam. And then it is very important as the third point, right, test yourself. Now, today if you want to test yourself that you understood audit reporting, take a blank piece of paper and ask this question, that there are 3 types of modification: qualified, adverse, disclaimer. Do I know 2 reasons for qualification? Inability to obtain evidence, right? The other one is there is a misstatement, right? So, what is an adverse opinion? You ask all this question, you draw your own painting of the knowledge that you gathered, then you are testing yourself so that you are more confident. And when you study, make sure the best time for you. Some of you do not know what is the best time for you. For example, I do not know whether you have tried this. If you get up at 4 o'clock, see whether you can try, that is the best time, right, for many. But some people it does not work, but test, do a lot of experiment and see what is the best time you can do your studies. And then always a smart student will look at the syllabus. This is the syllabus, this is the weightage, and these are the exam questions, especially syllabus. What are the examinable topics? Now, I did audit extensively, audit planning, reporting, and these are definitely examinable likewise. And then when you go through notes also, this is very important, that very big chapter, but you are looking only key things. That is why various conceptualization in terms of diagrams which I gave you help on this. The mind mapping I already covered. And sometimes if you are smart, you know audit reporting today, I am asking you after this to go through the chapter, but read by headings. Right. For example, when you see modified opinion, long explanation, and in the middle you see this word, sorry, adverse opinion, you see the pervasiveness, then you are only reading some word. Pervasive means 3 things, right, not confined, and fundamental, all these things. So, you scan for key things, those key things are there anyway in your short notes. Right. So, therefore, what really matters, have some very powerful small few pages where you have written the most important thing, and before the exam have this as your guide point, because this is not an open book. And I told you historically auditing, if you look at last 15 years, right, where I have been lecturing, right, for KC5 and even before, the auditing was open book, but this paper unfortunately is not open book. Therefore, some of these things you have to remember logically, but do not be a parrot, do not try to memorize and by heart, always try to understand logically and try to build your own story of remembering this. So, then it makes your life easy. So, with that, I am going to conclude this series, and I am sure that you will get lot of benefit out of this. Thank you.